I had always noticed the way Sarah and her boss whispered to each other in the corner of the office, their smiles too wide and their laughter too loud. It made my stomach twist. I tried to ignore it, but the sneaky looks and secret giggles made me wonder what else was happening behind closed doors. Then, at the office party, everything changed. When her boss stood up and confessed to the affair, I felt a rush of emotions. Anger, surprise, and relief all mixed together. I had already bought the company because I wanted to fire both of them for being so unprofessional. As I walked into the busy office party, my stomach twisted. Laughter and music filled the air, but something felt off. The bright decorations didn't match the chilly vibe I sensed. Everyone seemed happy, but I could feel a tension simmering beneath the surface. After 5 years at Elite Tech, I knew tonight was different. I spotted Mr. Thompson, my boss, laughing with Sarah, the new hire. Their laughter was too loud, their smiles too close, a knot twisted tighter in my gut. I knew their bond wasn't just work-related, it felt like a betrayal, and it hurt. Whispers about Mr. Thompson's odd behavior echoed in my mind. People were talking, and I couldn't ignore it anymore. As the party dragged on, I felt alone in a crowd. My co-workers danced and chatted, completely unaware of the storm brewing. I wanted to march up to Mr. Thompson and call him out. I glanced at Sarah. Did she even know he was playing games? Anger bubbled inside me. This wasn't just an office crush, it was about loyalty and trust. Then, Mr. Thompson raised his glass for a toast about love. My heart sank. Was he serious? I couldn't just stand by any longer. I'd the power. I owned the company. I'd confront them both. The party might seem fun, but I was ready for a showdown. I took a deep breath and made my way through the crowd. Mr. Thompson, I said, my voice steady but loud enough to grab attention. He turned, surprise flashing in his eyes. We need to talk. Now. Everyone fell silent. Sarah's face turned pale. This was it. The truth was about to come out. Even with the party lights twinkling, a dark cloud hung over me. The laughter felt hollow. I watched Mr. Thompson and Sarah, their smiles too close for comfort. It wasn't just friendly, it was dangerous. Around me, whispers swirled like a storm. I could see my co-workers exchanging worried glances, eyebrows raised in concern. Why were they ignoring the obvious? My gut twisted. I'd seen affairs destroy lives before, and I wasn't going to let it happen again. Every joke they shared cut deep. How could Mr. Thompson, our team leader, be so reckless? It felt like a betrayal. I'd given my all to this job, and now it seemed like everything was crumbling. I couldn't just stand by and watch this unfold. Their secret had to come out, and I was determined to make it happen, no matter the fallout. "Hey, Sarah!" I called out, my voice sharp. She turned, eyes wide. "We need to talk about Mr. Thompson." The room fell silent, all eyes on us. I could feel the tension crackling in the air. This was just the beginning. The next day in the office felt heavy, like a storm was brewing. I couldn't shake off the feeling that everyone was whispering about me. It was like the air buzzed with secrets. I heard bits and pieces, words like betrayal and lies floated in the air. My heart pounded. Did they know what I knew? As I walked through the halls, I looked at my co-workers. Their faces showed worry and curiosity. Some quickly looked away, while others shared sneaky glances. I imagined them gossiping about the affair, how Mr. Thompson had crossed a big line. They must have felt the change. I wasn't just another worker anymore. I owned the company now, and I could make big moves, but I felt scared. These people had once been my friends, and now they felt like enemies. The whispers felt sharp like knives, cutting at my courage. I had to confront Mr. Thompson and Sarah, but the air was thick with tension. I needed more proof before I acted. I couldn't let their sneaky tricks slide. I had to find out the truth. The office was like a war zone, and I was ready to fight back. Every whisper I heard only fueled my anger. They thought they could hide, but I was determined to shine a light on their sneaky games. "Did you hear about Sarah and Mr. Thompson?" someone whispered nearby. I clenched my fists. They think they can just get away with this. I thought. I'd to move fast and take control. This was just the beginning of my plan. I'd show them that betrayal has consequences. As Mr. Thompson stood up to give his speech, my heart raced like a wild drum. He raised his glass, flashing that charming smile I used to adore, but now it made my stomach twist in knots. I knew what he was doing. This wasn't just a party. It was his moment to show off his so-called love for Sarah. As he talked about teamwork and success, his eyes kept drifting to her, and a fire of anger and betrayal ignited inside me. Thank you all for your hard work. You're the reason for our success, he boomed, his voice echoing with excitement, but that smile when he looked at Sarah, it made my blood boil. I didn't care about teamwork. I felt like a total fool standing there. His words were just smoke, hiding the truth about his affair. Then he said the line that made my skin crawl. And to love, which makes everything possible. He shot a smirk at Sarah, and I wanted to shout. How could he act like nothing was wrong while hurting me? Desperation washed over me. This was beyond just an affair. It was about my pride. I'd already bought the company, and I was done with hiding. It was time to confront him. No more speeches. I wanted the truth out in the open. I marched up to the front, my heart pounding. Mr. Thompson, I called out, cutting through the applause. The room fell silent, eyes wide. You talk about love and teamwork, but what about honesty? His confident smile faltered. What are you talking about? He stammered, confusion flashing across his face. You know exactly what I mean. You can't pretend anymore, I shouted, my voice strong. The crowd gasped, tension crackling like electricity. Sarah's face turned white. What's going on? She whispered, fear creeping into her voice. I wasn't backing down. You think you can play with people's hearts and get away with it? Not anymore. Mr. Thompson's facade crumbled. You don't know what you're saying, he shot back, but I could see the fear in his eyes. Maybe not, but I know enough, I declared, ready for whatever came next. This was it, the moment the truth would finally come out. I sat in my office, feeling like a balloon that had just popped. Betrayal crashed over me like a wave. My heart raced as I thought about the office party. Mr. Thompson's smirk and the way he looked at Sarah made my blood boil. How could he do this? I felt angry and hurt. I trusted him to lead us, but he just ripped that trust apart. Every message I found between them made the pain worse. I'd worked hard for this company, only to find out that the man I respected was a fake. It felt like a bad joke. My mind buzzed with thoughts of getting back at him, but I'd to stay focused. Rebuilding trust seemed impossible now, but I couldn't lose sight of what I needed to do. Sarah was stuck in the middle of this mess, too. She'd no clue what was really going on, and I could see the confusion in her eyes. I'd to turn this chaos into something good. If I could expose Mr. Thompson's lies, maybe I could take back my power. The office was filled with whispers, and I felt everyone's eyes on me. This betrayal was bigger than just me. It affected everyone at work. I'd to act fast. I'd to confront them both and make sure they faced the music for what they did. This tidal wave of betrayal needed to become a storm of justice. I took a deep breath, pushed my chair back, and stormed out of my office. Mr. Thompson, I shouted, my voice echoing through the hallway. He turned, surprised. We need to talk, now. He glanced at Sarah, who was standing nearby, looking worried. What's this about? He asked, trying to play it cool. I stepped closer, my heart pounding. I know about you two. The texts, the flirting. You think I wouldn't find out? His smirk faded. You don't know what you're talking about, he said, but I could see the fear in his eyes. Oh, I know enough, I shot back. And it's time everyone else knew too. Sarah looked back and forth between us, her confusion turning to realization. What's going on? She whispered, her voice shaking. I turned to her, my tone softening. I'm sorry you got caught up in this, Sarah, but this isn't just about us anymore. It's about standing up for what's right. Mr. Thompson's face turned red. You'll regret this, he snapped, but I could see the cracks in his confidence. I felt a rush of strength. No, you will. This isn't over. I took a deep breath, ready to turn this betrayal into something that would shake the whole company. The storm was coming, and I was ready to face it head on. I was fed up with what was happening at Elite Tech. I knew I'd to take charge and confront Mr. Thompson. The office had changed. It felt like a bad dream where trust was gone, and betrayal lingered like a dark shadow. I called a meeting with the upper management team. Everyone looked uneasy, but I was ready to speak up. "We need to talk about what happened," I said firmly. "This isn't just a scandal. It's a wake-up call. We must rebuild our trust and respect." Their eyes darted around, but I pressed on. "No. More secrets. No more manipulation. We need to make sure everyone feels safe here, especially with leaders like Mr. Thompson." I could see their hope flickering. They wanted change, and I was going to give it to them. I proposed new rules and training. I continued, my voice steady. "We'll create a workplace where everyone matters. No one should feel scared or ignored." As I spoke, I felt a surge of strength. I couldn't erase the pain, but I could help us heal. Together, we can make Elite Tech better, stronger. I could see the spark in their eyes. They were ready to fight, back against the darkness. With the meeting behind me, a fire lit inside me. I'd to gather proof to hold Mr. Thompson responsible. I couldn't just shout accusations based on feelings. I needed solid evidence. Gathering proof became my goal. I spent hours digging through emails, documents, and even private messages. Each discovery was like peeling back layers of a rotten onion, revealing rotten secrets underneath. As I searched through the files, my heart pounded. I found conversations that painted a clear picture of their affair. Each message was like a knife to my heart, confirming my worst fears. I felt betrayed, not only by Mr. Thompson, but by the trust I once had in my workplace. Did they really think they could hide this? Did he honestly believe his charm could cover up his lies? Every email I read made me even more determined. I'd to act fast. I couldn't let their selfish actions ruin what I'd built. With each piece of evidence, anger surged through me. Time was running out. I'd to expose them before they could erase their tracks. I started making a timeline of their meetings, connecting the dots that showed their deceit. I'd shine a light on this, and justice would come. The truth was coming, and I was ready to face them with undeniable proof. Their hidden motives wouldn't stay hidden for long. In a sudden burst of courage, I snapped, "Mr. Thompson, I know about your affair. You can't hide from the truth." His face turned pale, and for a moment he was speechless. I pressed on. "You think your charm can save you? I've the evidence." While digging through a pile of emails, I found something that made my heart race. It was a thread full of flirty messages between Mr. Thompson and Sarah. My stomach twisted as I read their playful words. They called each other silly pet names and talked about sneaking away together. Each message felt like a punch to my gut. How did I miss this? I felt betrayed. Their chemistry was more than just friendly chats. They were planning secret meetings, lost in a world of lies. Anger bubbled inside me as I kept scrolling through their conversations. This wasn't just some silly fling. It was a web of deceit. Mr. Thompson had fooled everyone at the office, and I was the last to know. I'd trusted him, and now it felt like a bad joke. With every message, I felt more desperate. I'd to confront them. I couldn't just sit back and watch this toxic mess ruin everything I worked for. Their chats were proof of their betrayal. I was ready to act. The game was changing, and I was about to turn the tables. "No more hiding," I muttered under my breath, my heart pounding with determination. I'd the evidence, and I wasn't going to let them get away with it. It was time to expose the truth. The emergency meeting was about to start, and my heart pounded in my chest. I'd the proof, the emails that would expose Mr. Thompson and Sarah. This wasn't just a personal fight, it was a test of my leadership. The weight of what I'd to do pressed down on me. How would I face them? I stepped into the conference room, and the tension hit me like a wave. Mr. Thompson lounged in his chair, arms crossed, smirking like he owned the place. Sarah looked nervous, her eyes darting around. I took a deep breath and reminded myself of my plan. I'd to stay sharp. "Thanks for coming," I said, trying to sound steady. We need to talk about your emails. Their faces froze. This isn't just about you two. It's a betrayal that hurts everyone here. Mr. Thompson laughed, brushing me off, but I wasn't backing down. You think this will just disappear? Not a chance. I won't let this go. My adrenaline surged. I was ready to fight for what was right. The room went quiet, the weight of my words hanging heavy. I'd drawn a line in the sand. Sarah looked scared, but I could see a flicker of hope in her eyes. We were in this together now. Mr. Thompson, you might think you're untouchable, I said, my voice strong. But this ends today. He scowled, the smugness fading. Who do you think you are? He spat back, but I stood my ground. I'm the one who'll protect this company, I replied fiercely, and I won't let your toxic relationship ruin everything. Tension filled the room like a thick fog, and I could feel the accusations ready to burst. I glared at Mr. Thompson, knowing he'd crossed every line there was. My heart raced as I faced him, thoughts of betrayal swirling in my head. The office felt different now. Everyone sensed it. You think you can charm your way out of this? I fired back, trying to keep my voice steady. He smirked, but I noticed a flash of fear in his eyes. The emails proved everything. His tricks, secret meetings, and flirty comments. I was done being quiet. I have proof of your affair with Sarah, I said, my voice rising. You've put this company at risk, and we all deserve better. The room went silent. I saw Sarah's face drain of color as she realized how serious this was. This wasn't just about us, it was about trust and honesty in our workplace. Mr. Thompson's coolness started to crack, and I pushed harder. You're a disgrace to this company. You've hurt not just me, but everyone who looked up to you. My heart raced with determination. I couldn't let him fool anyone else. The truth was out, and it was time for him to face the music. As the weight of my words sank in, I took a step closer. You think you can get away with this? It's over. The air was thick with tension, and I knew this was just the beginning. The battle for trust had started, and I was ready to fight. Though I felt a rush of bravery after standing up to Mr. Thompson, the power struggle was nerve-wracking. I'd grabbed the reins of the company, but I knew I was playing a risky game. Mr. Thompson's smug grin during our showdown told me he thought he was still in control. This wasn't just about getting back at him, it was about survival in a world full of manipulation. The office buzzed with tension. People whispered behind closed doors, their eyes on me, judging my every move. Could I handle this? I'd the proof I needed, but he'd charm and years of experience. It was a fierce fight for power, and I refused to back down. In the next few days, I rallied support. I talked to co-workers who'd their own stories about Mr. Thompson's lies. The more I uncovered, the clearer it became. He loved to control people, using his role to scare and deceive. I couldn't let him keep this up. Every meeting felt like a battle. I stared at Mr. Thompson, refusing to show fear. I've got the proof, and I'm not afraid of you, I said, my voice steady. I reminded myself that now I'd the edge. I wasn't just in this for me, I was fighting for everyone he'd hurt. The air in the office felt heavy, like a storm was brewing. I couldn't shake the tension after I confronted Mr. Thompson about his affair with Sarah. Everything changed. What used to be a lively, friendly place turned into a pit of whispers and worried looks. My co-workers huddled together, their eyes darting around like they were afraid of being caught. Laughter that once rang through the halls was replaced with glances full of worry. The mood dropped, and it felt like a dark cloud had taken over. Everyone walked on eggshells, unsure of what would happen next. Sarah, once full of life, now looked weighed down. Her smile was gone, and her laughter was a rare sound. I realized she was hurting too, caught in the fallout of betrayal. The office felt less like a home and more like a war zone. I had to act fast. I bought the company to bring back order, but I wanted to heal the wounds as well. I could see a future where trust could grow again, where we could all work together. The changes would be tough, but they were needed. I was determined to rewrite our story, to bring back the teamwork and joy we all craved. Sarah, we need to talk, I said one afternoon. catching her in the break room. Her eyes widened in surprise. "About what?" she asked, a hint of fear in her voice. "About us. About the office." "We can't let this mess ruin everything we've built," I replied, my heart racing. She nodded slowly, her expression softening. "I want things to go back to normal. I miss the laughter." "Me too," I said. "Let's work on it together. We can make this right." As we talked, I felt a spark of hope. If we could face this betrayal head-on, maybe we could mend the cracks and build something stronger. Trust was shattered, but with determination, we could piece it back together. The office was filled with whispers, but all I saw was Sarah. She walked with her head down, avoiding everyone's eyes. Mr. Thompson had betrayed her, and I could see it in her slumped shoulders and the way her smile was gone. It hurt to watch someone so bright fade into a shadow, but Sarah was tough. I could tell she was trying to put the pieces back together, even if it was hard. Each day, she looked a little more fragile. I often saw her gazing out the window, lost in her thoughts. It was like she was searching for answers that didn't exist. I wanted to help her, to tell her she wasn't alone, but I didn't know how. I knew she needed time. Betrayal hurts deeply, and healing takes a while. I wanted to be there for her, but I also understood she needed to find her own way. I saw a flicker of strength in her eyes, a spark that said she wouldn't stay down forever. Days went by, and I hoped she'd find her strength again. She was more than Mr. Thompson's mistake. She was more than a piece in his game. Sarah deserved better. I wanted her to know that this painful chapter didn't have to define her. She'd rise again. "Hey, Sarah," I finally said one afternoon, stepping closer. "You're stronger than this. Don't let him win." She looked up, surprise flashing in her eyes. "But it hurts," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I know, but you're not alone." "We'll get through this together," I replied, hoping to spark that fire in her again. I watched Sarah sit alone in the break room, tears in her eyes. She looked lost and defeated. I felt a pull to help her. We'd both been hurt by Mr. Thompson. I took a deep breath and walked over, my heart pounding. "Hey, can we talk?" I asked. She looked up, surprised. "Why would you want to talk to me?" she shot back, doubt in her voice. I leaned closer, wanting her to see I meant it. "I know you're hurting. I want to help." As we talked, her pain spilled out like a broken dam. She told me about her dreams and how she thought Mr. Thompson cared. I shared my own story, how I felt betrayed too. We both felt the sting of heartbreak and deception. It was raw and real. I could see the weight on her shoulders. "You need to take back your power," I urged. "You deserve better." She nodded, hope flickering in her eyes as we spoke. We weren't alone anymore. Together, we could face the storm ahead. With each word, I felt our bond grow stronger. Sarah's strength was rising, and I knew we could tackle whatever came next. The moment I realized my feelings for Sarah, everything flipped upside down. At first, I just felt suspicious, but soon, a storm of emotions hit me like a wave. I was drawn to her, but it was messy. She was with Mr. Thompson, the guy I was trying to take down. It felt like we were stuck in a love triangle that twisted around our hearts. Watching Sarah, I didn't just see a co-worker. I saw someone hurting. She thought Mr. Thompson cared, but I knew he was just using her. I wanted to save her, but my own feelings scared me. I started to wonder, could I trust her? Did she like me back? Or was I just another piece in this game? One day. I found Sarah in the break room. She was crying. My heart sank. I walked over and asked, "What's wrong?" The walls felt like they were closing in on us. We talked, sharing our hurts, and I realized we were both caught in Mr. Thompson's lies. My heart raced. Something was forming between us, but it was complicated and terrifying. I was falling for her. The love situation was a mess, and I felt desperate. Caught up in a storm of feelings for Sarah, I knew I couldn't let my heart lead me astray. I'd to uncover Mr. Thompson's sneaky plans before it was too late. He was pulling strings behind the scenes, tricking everyone around him. I could almost see secret alliances forming in the shadows, and I couldn't trust anyone. As I searched for answers, I stumbled upon shocking emails. Mr. Thompson was playing mind games, using his power to control and deceive. It felt like a twisted game of corporate chess, where everyone was a pawn in his scheme. I felt the weight of betrayal heavy on my chest, and I didn't know who I could turn to. "Hey, do you see what's happening?" I whispered to Sarah one day, my voice low. She looked back, her eyes wide with worry. "It's not just you. We're all in danger." I had to act fast. I made a plan to confront him. "This will end now," I told myself, even though my heart raced at the thought of the showdown. The office felt tense, like a coiled spring ready to snap. "What do you think he'll do?" Sarah asked, biting her lip. I shrugged, but deep down I feared his reaction. "Whatever it takes," I replied, determination in my voice. As I prepared to face Mr. Thompson, I realized that my feelings for Sarah couldn't cloud my judgment. This was about justice, about taking back control. I was ready to cut through his web of lies and expose the truth, no matter the cost. "Let's go," I said, a fire igniting in my gut. Together, we stepped into the lion's den, ready to confront the monster lurking in the dark. While I dug through Mr. Thompson's emails, I found something shocking. My heart raced as I read each line. I felt betrayed. The messages were flirty, but they also showed something much darker. Mr. Thompson was using his power to trick Sarah into thinking they were really together. I was stunned. How could I have missed this? As I kept looking, I uncovered even more. He was involved in shady business deals, planning to sell the company to hide his lies. Anger boiled inside me. He wasn't just hurting me, he was risking everyone's job. I'd to do something. I couldn't let him win. Each email revealed more of his sneaky plans. It was like a web of lies just to keep him safe while hurting others. I imagined how Sarah felt, thinking she was loved, but really just being used. I needed to confront him, but I'd to gather proof first. The stakes were high, and I felt urgency in every bone. I was determined to stop him. This wasn't just about me anymore, it was about saving the company and everyone who worked there. "Mr. Thompson," I said, my voice steady, "we need to talk." I wouldn't back down. I was ready to face him, ready to expose his betrayal. This was my chance to fight back and make things right. I marched into Mr. Thompson's office, my heart pounding with anger and determination. He'd betrayed me, betrayed all of us, by having an affair with Sarah. The weight of it felt like a heavy rock in my stomach. I may have been his employee before, but now I owned elite tech, and I was ready to take a stand. As I stood in front of him, memories of happier times flooded my mind. I remembered the office party, his smug grin as he raised a glass to love. It made my blood boil. I couldn't let this slide. I'd to confront him about the damage he caused. I took a deep breath and said, "We need to talk about your lies." "Mr. Thompson." He leaned back in his chair, a cocky grin still plastered on his face. But I wasn't backing down. "You've betrayed not just me, but the whole team. This isn't just about you and Sarah. It's about trust, and you've shattered it." I could see a flicker of fear in his eyes, and it felt good. I kept going, feeling the urge for justice grow stronger. "Do you think you can just walk away from this mess? You've put us all in a tough spot." The air between us crackled with tension. I was ready to spill the truth and fight for our company's honor. "Enough is enough," I declared. "You need to own up to your actions." His smile faded, and for the first time, I could see him squirm. This was more than just a confrontation. It was about reclaiming what was ours. I wouldn't let manipulation and greed ruin everything we built. The stakes were high, but I was ready to fight for the truth. As I stood there facing Mr. Thompson, the air felt electric. His smirk disappeared, replaced by fear when I showed him the proof of his affair. He was a coward, trying to escape the mess he made. I'd seen it before, people like him who thought they could trick others and get away with it, but not this time. "Do you really think you can sweep this under the rug?" I asked, my voice steady even though my heart raced. He fidgeted, his confidence crumbling. "This isn't what you think," he stammered, but I knew the truth. He wanted to save his job, his reputation, and keep his dirty secret hidden. But now I was in charge. Everyone deserves to know the truth, I said firmly. His eyes widened with panic, and I felt a thrill at the thought of him losing everything. I was done letting him slide. The betrayal cut deep, but I was ready to take action. It hit me then. We were in a game of chess, and I wouldn't let him win. I'd just bought the company. I'd make sure he faced the music. No more hiding, no more lies. The coward's escape was finished. The feeling of betrayal hit me hard. I couldn't fight Mr. Thompson alone. The office was a minefield of politics, and I needed help. So I reached out to my co-workers. They'd seen how sneaky he was too. I went to a few trusted friends, hoping we could team up. I found out about Mr. Thompson and Sarah, I said, my voice steady. He's been lying to us all. Their eyes widened in shock, but I could see the fire in them. One by one we gathered, each sharing our stories. It felt good to have support. We built a small but strong team, united by our anger. As we met, the energy shifted. We weren't just victims anymore. We were a force. We need to gather proof, I urged. Write down everything you've seen. The more we uncovered, the stronger we became. But we knew the risks. Mr. Thompson had power, but so did we, together. As we planned, hope flickered in my chest. We could expose the truth. This wasn't just about revenge, it was about taking back our lives. The tension in the air was thick as I got ready to confront Mr. Thompson. I'd the proof. Emails and messages stacked high against him. This wasn't just about personal betrayal, it was about doing what was right at our company. I couldn't let Mr. Thompson get away with his lies any longer. With my heart pounding, I marched into the conference room. Sarah stood beside me, my unexpected ally. We shared a glance, and I knew we were both fired up to reveal the truth. Mr. Thompson sat there, looking smug, but I was determined to take him down. I slammed the evidence on the table. Mr. Thompson, this isn't just about me. It's about the trust we owe our co-workers. He shifted uncomfortably, his confidence starting to crumble. He'd used people for too long, hiding behind his position like a coward. Your greed and manipulation end today, I said, my voice steady. I could see his arrogance faltering. It felt good to stand up for what was right, and with every word I felt stronger. I wasn't just fighting for myself, I was fighting for everyone he'd hurt. I won't let you destroy our company any longer, I declared, feeling the fire in my chest. The justice system might have its flaws, but I was ready to push for change. This was more than just a battle. It was a chance to make sure that corporate ethics mattered. With each piece of evidence laid out, I could see the fear in Mr. Thompson's eyes. He was about to lose everything, and that felt like victory. I felt a rush of adrenaline as I stood up to Mr. Thompson, but dread quickly followed. Facing the consequences of his actions wouldn't be easy. I'd to hold him accountable, but I also had to wrestle with my own confusion. Betrayal hung in the air like a thick fog, and I felt everything I built was falling apart. Mr. Thompson thinks he can get away with this, I said, clenching my fists. I called Sarah to my side. We need to act. She looked scared, her eyes wide. What if he retaliates? No way. We've the proof. We can't stay silent. I took a deep breath. We have to expose him. Together, we laid out the evidence. I could see the fear in her eyes, just like mine. We were stepping into danger, but it was time to break the toxic cycle. The day of reckoning came, and my heart raced as I faced our colleagues. Everyone, listen up, I shouted. Mr. Thompson had an affair and lied to all of us. The room went silent. I felt anger boil inside me and a spark of relief. I knew the fallout would be huge, but it was necessary. This was our moment. Facing the consequences meant taking back our power. No longer was I just a victim. I was ready to fight. Together, we'll rise from this betrayal, I declared, looking at Sarah. She nodded, determination shining in her eyes. We were ready for whatever came next. The room was tense after the big showdown. I felt a mix of relief and worry. I'd exposed Mr. Thompson and Sarah, but now the real trouble was starting. The whispers and sidelong glances from my co-workers felt heavy. Trust was broken, not just between the three of us, but for everyone in the office. I glanced at Sarah. She used to light up the room, But now she looked lost and ashamed. Was she a victim too? We'd both been tricked by Mr. Thompson, and that thought nagged at me. I took a deep breath. I'd to talk to the team. They needed to know I was ready to fix this mess and bring back trust. It was scary, but it had to be done. I stood up and gathered everyone. Listen up. We need to talk about honesty. We can't let this betrayal break us. We'll come back stronger. The team nodded, some faces still wary, but I saw a flicker of hope in their eyes. Over the next few weeks, I worked hard to create a space where everyone could speak up. I set up meetings to share ideas and concerns. Let's work together, I urged. Slowly, the atmosphere began to change. We were healing, step by step. Then one day, Sarah came up to me. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice shaky. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen." "It's not just you," I replied firmly. "We all got played." We both knew the road ahead would be tough, but together we could fight back against the betrayal and rebuild what we'd lost. The darkness wouldn't win. Trust was slowly coming back in the office, but I knew we'd a long way to go. After the chaos stirred up by Mr. Thompson and Sarah, the pressure weighed on me like a heavy stone. I'd to make this place safe for everyone, including Sarah, who now stood beside me instead of against me. Rebuilding trust meant laying down bricks of honesty and teamwork. I jumped into action, planning team-building activities. These weren't just fun outings, they were crucial for mending our broken spirits. We needed to connect again, to remember we were more than just co-workers. We were like a family, even if that family felt shredded. I opened the floor for honest talk, letting everyone share their feelings about the mess we'd been through. It was hard, but it was necessary. As I pushed to strengthen our ties, I noticed something new. Sarah wasn't just a victim anymore. She was a key player. We teamed up to brainstorm ways to fix our company, focusing on honesty and trust. I wanted everyone to feel important and heard. Every day was a step toward healing. It wasn't easy, but with each small win, I saw hope flicker, back to life in our workplace. We were done being marked by betrayal. We were morphing into something stronger, united to move forward together. I felt hope swell, and for the first time in a while, I believed we could rebuild what had shattered. "Let's do this," I shouted, rallying the team one morning. Everyone nodded, determination sparkling in their eyes. Sarah smiled at me, a mix of gratitude and strength. We faced challenges, but we tackled them head-on. "We won't let greed or lies tear us apart again," I declared during a team meeting. The room filled with cheers, and I could see the walls of distrust slowly crumbling. With every victory, I felt the dark clouds lifting. Together, we were stronger. Together, we'd rise.